Shalom, my friends. Shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder, spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And if you wouldn't remember his face, because back when we had this man on our show in 2011, it was radio. You couldn't even see him. You had to imagine this beautiful Purim in front of us. But now, you can see him and hear him. And by the way, if you want to see him and hear him, not just on this screen here, but live, you got to go to the Comedy Village, which is a club in Midtown Manhattan over on West 44th Street. He is playing this Thursday, September 18th. So go see this man, by the way, is Dave Konig. Back when he was on the program years ago, he had been doing an off-Broadway show called Hebrew School Dropout, which we talked to him about then. Since then, my God, he did another show called Addicted to Show Business. He's been singing The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Broadwalk Empire, Crashing the Black. Please, what? Yeah, so many.
I'm just gesturing with emphasis to everything.
Emphasis. He wrote a novel. Did you guys write a novel? He wrote a novel that he also adapted into an award-winning screenplay. So we're going to talk about that as well. He has also never stopped doing the stand-up thing, which is very tough to do in a place that he often does it because he's on a ship and it's kind of hard to stand up with a boat going like this and like this and like this. Please welcome back to the Doverhood, Dave Konig. Shalom, Dave.
Shalom, Rabbi. I had no idea. I didn't even know you were Jewish, so this is fantastic.
It is, it's a giveaway. It's the nose and the payas. You're Jewish too, aren't you? Of course you are.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you have, at this point in your life and career, are there any things you celebrate or are you just cultural?
Jewish, that is?
Yeah, Jewish, that is.
Yes. No, I'm in show business. So, I perform on Friday nights and yes. So,
wait. Yom Kippur too?
If I'm booked on Yom Kippur, I'm going out on that stage, yes.
Oh, yes. My God. How would your parents feel about that? Are they still
dead? Who cares? Move on.
It was cares, they're dead, move on. This is, oh my God, all right.
How would my parents feel about it? What are you talking about?
I don't know what that means. We're talking about Judaism, except we're going to talk.
My father was 5'2", 125 pounds. My mother was 5 foot, 250 pounds.
Really?
When they walked down the street, they looked like the number 10.
Yes, thank you very much. When they actually...
Rabbi, if you don't bump once more, I close the laptop. No badum bumps.
No badum bump. That was begging for a badum bump. Then you were intelligent. And by the way, was that a complete joke or was it?
No, Rabbi, in all seriousness, a badum bump is very insulting to a comedian. It's like an insult.
Is it really?
No comedian wants to hear a badum bump after a joke.
Oh, all right, fair enough. But my question is, how much of that?
You learned something today. You learned something.
I never learn anything. At this stage of my life, I teach or I don't learn nothing. I'm just there to spew. Yeah. But
what do you teach, Rabbi?
What? Sorry.
What do you teach?
Oh my God! I teach.
What do you teach? You're a teacher. What do you teach? Math? Do you teach it? I'm just asking the question.
Oh yeah.
What's the matter with you? What do you teach?
I teach intolerance. I teach sometimes Hebrew, but incorrect Hebrew, because you're not supposed to get it completely correct because it's God's language and you want to talk His language. I teach interesting different things. My only question for you, and I would love to get an answer to, is how much of the joke that you just told was true, and how much was? Were your parents really short and your father skinny, or all of it? Yeah.
Oh, it was all true. My father was 5'2". He was a short man. They made Jews shorter back then, Rabbi. Yeah. And my mother was 5 foot on a good day. Yes. Yeah.
So it really was. There was truth in the joke. You didn't just go with a completely random joke there. That's interesting. That's good. So do you have brothers and sisters?
No. I'm an only child.
Right. But you have children. This is a lot.
I have 4 kids, which is entirely too many.
Are any of them? I know one of them did the editing on your reel. How many of them are in the showbiz? Yeah.
3 out of the 4, and the fourth one's a newspaper reporter, a journalist. So they're all in the arts.
All 4 on showbiz. So what are they all? Is any a comedian? Is any an actor?
Yeah. My 2 youngest sons are comedians and film. My one of them is a filmmaker. The other's an actor. They're both brilliant at comedy. And my daughter is a producer. And then my oldest son is a newspaper reporter. I'm very proud of all of them. It's a lot of kids, though. You don't really need that many. It's ostentatious, frankly.
So if you got 4 kids,
Rabbi, you got 4 kids, you're approaching Von Trapp family singers territory. Basically. You got 4 kids, they should be wearing lederhosen and singing Edelweiss.
Yeah, except they're Jewish, so it's more of the sound of mucus is what you're talking about there. I'll do my own ba-dum-bum. Ba-dum-bum! See, damn it, I'm not insulted by it. I use it.
You can have all the ba-dum-bumps you want, Rabbi. All the ba-dum-bumps you want.
But did you give your kids advice early on and say, don't go into showbiz, or if you do go into showbiz,
The honest answer is I was a child actor. I was a professional child actor. So I know a little something about it. And when my 3rd kid came to me when he was about 9 years old, and he said, I want to go into show business. I want to be professional. And so I said to him, I said, well, listen, here's the thing. And this is, by the way, if there's anyone listening who's got kids and you want to get your kid in show business, I'm going to give you the best advice. So here's the thing. I said, you could do that. I said, I could get you an agent tomorrow. I could take it to my agent tomorrow and they'd sign you up. You're fantastic. You're adorable. I said, and you would probably work, you'd probably get some work. I said, but you would if you went to school, after school, you'd be in rehearsals, you'd be in auditions, you'd be in performances, you'd be on a set. You wouldn't get to do any of the fun things you like to do. You wouldn't get to hang out with your friends. You wouldn't get to play baseball. You wouldn't get to do any normal child stuff. Or, here's the other way to go. You do all the school plays. You do theater camp in the summer. You're performing with other kids. You're still going to school, and you're in show business. You're acting, and you still get to go play Little League and play baseball and have a normal childhood. And it's this, and even better, if you do all the child theater stuff, you're going to be playing Tevye. You're going to be playing Nathan Detroit. I said, I never got to play Nathan Detroit when I was a kid. I was the kid in the real show, so I was the kid. So I had some kid lines. And then I was off the stage. You're going to get to play all the great musicals, all the great shows that children's theater does.
You'll be in the chorus of The Music Man. Good luck. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So at any rate, so that was the advice I gave my kid. Well, that's
and all 4 of them took it. All 4 of them were.
I'm their father. What choice did they have? I'm the parent.
Yeah. Well, do they have a mother? Because kids.
No, they vetoed it, and then I had to take my kids in. No, I'm their father, and then I said, this is it.
True. So, do you feel that you missed out on a childhood? Do you feel like you missed?
Yes.
Really? Yeah. Yes. You regret it, honestly.
Yeah.
You're.
No, exactly right. I was a professional. So if you're a professional child actor, you're a professional actor. You're working. God willing, you're working. So you're subject to all the pressures, all the rejections, all the surus that adult actors go through. And if you know any adult actors, we're all nuts, we're all insane. It's driven us all crazy. Well, it's the same for kids. Same exact business, same exact pressures, same exact trouble. It's the same for children, and only they're even more subject to insanity because they're kids.
Yeah. So how was the transition for you of moving from being a cute kid who was cast as a cute kid? Now suddenly you're in college. Now you're a grown up.
You're assuming I went to college, Rabbi. No, it was incredibly awkward. I'll tell you. I remember going. I was sent on an audition for a Broadway show, Shenandoah. There's a boy's part in Shenandoah. My agent had not actually seen me in person in about a year, only on the phone, whatever. So I go on this audition. He hadn't seen me in a year. I was about 13 at the time. I was about 3 feet taller than every other kid auditioning for the part. It was a little ridiculous. So yeah, you go through all of that stuff.
Who was that the one? It was the revival with the guy from Northern Exposure. Was that the one with
I didn't get the part, so I don't
You,
know.
you,
I have
you,
no idea.
you don't want to know. That's right. And soon you can play the father in Shenandoah. You're at the age where you could do it.
Assuming there's a father in the show, which I've never seen, yeah,
Oh,
I could do that. Yeah.
do you get? Are you resentful of parts you didn't get?
No, no.
Really? How do you no? How do you not? How do you see that something became a hit or
Well,
something that
I
was on?
grew
Yeah,
up. I matured as a human
you
being.
matured. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, when I was younger, I did. When I was a little kid, when I was a kid, there was a kid who I would audition for big jobs, and this other kid always got the jobs that I auditioned. You know, there was some big. I don't know. There was a gangster film with an all child cast called Bugsy Malone, I think
Bugsy
it was called.
Malone with Jodie Foster. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, right. And there was, I think, Bad News Bears. I was up for that. You know, all these films I was up for. But there was this kid, Alfred Lutterer. He would get all the parts. So, you know, he did quite well for himself as a child. And so recently, I must admit, I have to confess, his name popped in my head. I said, let me see whatever happened to Alfred Lutterer, you know, because he was my rival when I was a kid. I think he's a Ford dealer now out in Encino. So, you know, God bless him.
So he's still doing better than you. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, he's still doing better than me.
Kidding. No, now speaking of what you've been doing, how did you get on the circuit? Because people don't think of this. They think you're a stand-up comedian. You go to various clubs across America. You go on, and that's it. That's or you get a gig on TV. You are out on the ocean half the time.
Yeah,
How
I'm
did
on the.
that all start?
Well, during the pandemic, or towards the end of the pandemic, excuse me, I shot a special just as the things were starting to open up. Excuse me. I shot a special for a company called Dry Bar Comedy. Do you know what this is,
I've
Rabbi
heard of
Dry
them.
Bar?
But please share.
Dry Bar Comedy is a company that out of Provo, Utah, and it was started by Mormons, started by a couple of Mormon guys.
Yeah.
And the Mormon guys love stand-up comedy, but they couldn't go to a comedy club with their family and watch comedy because it's too dirty, et cetera. So they opened their. They would book. We're not necessarily Mormons. They were just regular comics, but comics who perform quote unquote clean. Now, turns out that Mormons, who knew, are extremely good at the internet. They're brilliant at computer stuff. So they started putting their clean comedy online. Company grew and grew and grew, and they cornered the market on quote unquote clean comedy.
Yeah.
And now they're like a multi-gazillion dollar, you know, huge company. So they booked me to go down there and do a comedy special. And before you go down there, they send you a videotape, and the videotape explains what to do and not to do when you shoot your comedy special, right? So they go through, you know, what is clean and what is dry bar clean, you know. And this is a great company. I'm not knocking them at all. They're terrific, but they go through the list of things, and they say, you know, it's obvious, no cursing, nothing raunchy, no raunchy sex. Okay, I mean, it's fine because if you're a stand-up comic and you can't work clean, you're not going to get much work anyway. You know, there's so many gigs I do where that's the requirement. But they get into the no dark topics. Well, what are dark topics?
Everything.
Well, death, no murder. You know, dark. You know,
And
no
this
dark
is
topics,
Utah.
right?
In Utah, no being shot in the neck. They really,
Right.
they're
Oh,
definitely.
yeah. No, that's a really awful joke, Rabbi, and I'm
Thank
going to
you.
call you on that one. Don't
Thank you
even
very
give
much.
yourself a badoom bump on that. So, so I go down to Provo, Utah, and you got to do 2 shows, an 8 o'clock and a 10 o'clock. You do the same set. They film them both. They edited them, the best of each, put it together. And so you kind of threw me with that. So anyway, I do my 8 o'clock show, and I end with this bit I do about my visit to the iPhone store, and I have to get my phone repaired. I finish the routine, huge laugh, big applause, thank you, good night, and I walk off the stage. 10 o'clock show, exact same set. I do the iPhone routine, and for whatever reasons, molecules in the air, it gets a laugh, but it doesn't get the big laugh I need to get off the stage. So I rifle through the filing cabinet real fast, and I need to pull something out to end the
A
show
big
with.
closer, yeah.
So I pull out this routine, and I'm not going to do it for you, but it's a routine about where I kind of rope the audience into a very poignant moment about the longevity of love and marriage. And my grandparents are married for 72 years. And, it's the thing where old married couples married forever. One of them goes, the other one goes right after, but it's like they can't live without each other. It's true love. My grandparents, 72 years. One night, my grandmother just passed away. My grandfather died 10 minutes later. True love. Granted, in their case, it was a murder-suicide, but still, boom, huge, tremendous. The place explodes. Mitt Romney presents me with an oversized check, and says, I'm a hero to the Mormon people. They go nuts. And the director comes running up to me. This young Mormon girl comes running up to me. She says, I know exactly how we're going to edit your special. We're going to end with that murder-suicide bit. It's great. So no dark topics. But my Mormon special ends with murder-suicide. Good night, everybody.
I thought the end of that story was they made you cut it and use the other.
No, the end of the story is the end I just told you. That's the end of the story.
Good
Not
for
what
them.
you thought. What I said is the end of the story.
Good. Oh, good. That is not what I expected. But a comedian.
Well, that's what makes it a good story.
Yeah.
If it ended with what you expected, I wouldn't even be telling the story.
Fair enough. So you were known for clean comedy, but we were getting to how this special that you shot for the Dry Bar Comedy people got you on a boat or boats.
Now this is a much shorter and much less interesting story. So the special came out; it was a big hit, and I got it to a cruise ship agent, and he put me on the boats. That's the story. But the thing about the cruise ships is, there's two different kinds of ships. There's there's the luxury ships, the high class luxury ships, and then there's everything else. I'm on the high class luxury ships, so I'm on the classy, nice ships.
Yeah.
So it's a great circuit because it's the only circuit left. There's no other circuits for a comic. There's no more opening for Tom Jones for 30 weeks a year. There's no more Playboy Club circuit. All the circuit. There's no more really like the 1980s had the comedy boom where you had these chains of comedy clubs all around the country. None of that exists anymore. So if you're a comic and you don't and you want to make a living, the cruise ships is the way to go.
All right, here's a question that I don't understand. A cruise, one particular cruise, it leaves and it goes for what? A week, 2 weeks?
Somewhere? Week, generally. Yeah, generally a week.
So you do your act and you have let's say a 45-minute, 75-minute act. And
two 45-minute sets.
Two separate 45-minute
Two separate 45-minute sets.
And you're there on the boat for a week and a half, 2 weeks. What do you do the third day? What are you there
Anything
for?
Anything I want. I'm there to do my two 45-minute sets. The rest of the time is my time. I do whatever the hell I want. I go to the spa. I sit on the deck. I go have the food. I do whatever the hell I want.
You're not expected to perform every night. You get your gigs done, and the rest of the cruise you just enjoying cruise.
So you go on a cruise. And you're on for a week. Monday night, you go to the theater, beautiful 700-seat theater, Broadway house, state-of-the-art, lights, sound, and say you got a singer that night. And yay. Tuesday night, you go back, you got me, you got comedy. Wednesday night, you go back, it's a whole production show. It's kids singing, dancing, standing on their heads. Thursday night, you go back, maybe there's a magician. Friday night, you go back, me again, doing
with a different act, with a
different 45-minute set.
Right.
See, that's the thing. You got to have two 45-minute sets clean. That's what separates the men from the boys. Not everybody's got that. Not everybody can do that.
So it sounds like a wonderful. Do you love it? I mean, is it especially when you've done your?
I love everything about it except for the traveling in between the boats because I got to fly. I'm constantly flying to get to the boats and get away and get back from the boats. So that's the big drag. I mean, my last ship let me off in Vancouver, and then I had to fly home to New York, and I had a flight that was just. You know how like the CIA can't waterboard terrorists anymore? now they just put them on Spirit, Vancouver to New York. So, it's a whole different world out there.
Notice I am not giving you a bum on that. I could have, but I'm not.
I'm still here.
For you. Yes, I respect.
Thank you,
I
sir.
did not, but I'm bummed that. But it was worthy of a bum. So I mean, it does sound like a pretty great way. What's the matter? A great way to make a living.
It's not a bad racket. It's a pretty good racket. Yeah.
And you can do that. Racket. How many weeks out of, because there are only so many cruise lines. How many weeks out of the year can you book?
I'm on the boats 30. I'm on the boats easily 35 weeks a year. I'm constant. I go from boat to boat to boat to boat. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds pretty.
It's a good racket.
So you gotta share. What are some fun, either when you were on stage performing it in this situation, or just vacationing, if you will, paid vacation, on any funny stories with passengers, any insane, scary things that happened? Were you on the Carnival Poop Cruise? What happened?
I was on a cruise just a couple of weeks ago, about 3 weeks, or a month ago, something like that. I was way up in Alaska, way out west. No, that was the Aleutian. I was in the Aleutian Islands, and then a couple of weeks later, I was in Alaska in the Inside Passage there. At any rate, I'm in Alaska, and we get a text. I get a text message from my daughter saying, there's a tsunami alert, and there's a tsunami that's going to hit Alaska. And it was the night there was a big earthquake in Russia, like a 9-point earthquake. This is only a few weeks ago. Yeah. And there was a tsunami alert for the entire West Coast. And Alaska was right in the line of fire. And so I had about 5 minutes before we all figured out, we're on the Inside Passage. There's no way, a tsunami would have to go over mountain ranges to reach us. So we were perfectly safe. And as it turned out, there was no tsunami. But for about 5 minutes, it was exciting.
All right.
The rest of the time, I'm sitting around eating food and getting fat.
How do you not? Here's a question for you. Since you live 30 months out of the year on a boat, how do you not get
30 months out of the year? That's a long time, Rabbi. How's that?
How do you not balloon? Because all there is to do is eat. How do you not go to the buffet 7 times a day and just go nom, nom?
I don't know. It's called being a grown-up, I guess.
All right. Okay.
But listen, you can get heavy out there. There's a lot of food out there. And you remember that? You remember the Costa Concordia, the ship in Italy that tipped over?
No.
It was a big news story, Rabbi. So there was the Costa Concordia. You know what happened with that ship?
No, I don't. No.
It was a design issue. Instead of putting the buffet in the middle of the ship, they put it on the side. First meal, stampede, boom, down the whole thing went. So you can get heavy out there.
Yeah, and it was Jewish passengers, Chinese takeaway. It was just, forget it. It was gone. It was over. Oh, there it was. So, and then I'll leave the cruise ship stuff alone. But are you, because you're a comedian, when you're on the ship and not performing and they see you, are you expected, or do they expect you, or do the ship's people or the people who booked you expect you to tummel and be sort of like tummel with the passenger? No, you get to just perform.
I'm there to do my act. I'm just like a singer's there to sing, and a juggler's there to juggle, and a magician's there to make things disappear. I go out, I do my act, and then when people come up to me on the ship, say, "I saw your show. It was very funny." I'm polite to them, and I make small talk and all that. But no, it's.
But you're not obligated to do.
I'm not. Work. I'm not working in the kitchen, washing dishes after the show. Nothing like that.
By the way, we're talking with Dave Konig, the comedian. You don't have to go on a boat to see him. You can, this week, like on Thursday, September 18th, go to Comedy Village. I never even heard of this place. Caroline's is gone. I'm going to talk to you about comedy clubs in New York.
Comedy Village is a great new club. It's on 44th Street. It's really a sweet little club, and it's run by a comic, PJ Landers, who's a great guy. And so he really knows how to run a comedy club because he's a comic himself. So it's a really nice club, and I'll be there September 18th, 7:30 p.m. Go to comedyvillage.com.
Get your tickets, comedyvillage.com. We have a couple more minutes, I hope, with Dave Konig here. So I want to tell, first of all, you say, it's run by a comic. He knows how to run a comedy. Well, if you were running a comedy club, what would you ensure? Like, What would you do to make sure it was a good place for comedians and for audiences to enjoy?
The number one thing, and this is why I like this guy PJ, and I like his club, Comedy Village, on West 44th in New York City. The number one thing is uh, people go to a comedy club. They've been spoiled by YouTube, and they see these clips on YouTube of the comics and the hecklers, and they think, I don't know, or maybe it's part of the short attention span of the modern world, but some people think, young guys think it's their role in life to get involved with the show.
Oh.
And they don't understand. No, it's your role in life to sit and laugh and applaud and pay your check and get the hell out. That's your role. You're the audience. We're the performers. We're the ones on stage. So when it's not really heckling, because heckling doesn't really exist. No one actually sits there and goes, "You stink, get off the stage." It doesn't really happen. But what happens is people think it's their responsibility to get involved with the show, and they can't shut up.
Right. And if maybe so had one or two.
Happens, When that happens, you need a large man to walk over and tap the guy on the shoulder and say, "You got to shut up." And most comedy clubs don't even bother to have that large man anymore. It's like the comic is on his own. You're a lion tamer up there, So that's what I would do. Just, it's good to have a large man who comes over and says, yeah, this is not about you. Why don't you shut up? Yeah.
Used to be the large man had a big Italian name and a nickname, and he was packing something.
Yeah, Tiny would come over but so at any rate, this is why I like this guy's club, because he takes care of the details like that. And he's. But is it
really true that so many of the clubs all across there's no circuit? I mean, we're in Maryland here, and there's I'm busy. I'm over in Great Neck, but there's a club called Magooby's Joke House down the road, and then in Long Island you got Governors. I think still.
What I mean by that is it's in the 1980s there was a big comedy boom. And when all the discos from the 70s went, disco was gone, and all of a sudden everybody realized, all I need to do is have a light and a microphone, and I can put a comic in the corner and they'll put on a show. And then that ended up being part of the initiative to create this big boom where suddenly there was hundreds of comedy clubs all over America, and there was chains, and so you could, if you were a headlining comic, you could get in on that racket and sign up for several weeks, and you're touring around. That kind of thing doesn't really exist anymore. No, the business has changed. Yeah.
Did you ever stay in a comedy condo?
No, I did not. I was in a comedy rental, and then I went comedy co-op, and I had to move out.
Got it. Okay. All right. By the way, you were also a member up until, I guess, the very, very end, like a year or two ago, of the Friars Club. Do you miss that? What was it special? What was, like being...
The thing I liked about the Friars, I'll tell you what I liked about the Friars Club. The thing I liked about the Friars Club is we would do shows actually in the club itself, in the dining room there. It holds maybe 200 people. We would do these shows ostensibly for charity. And you would get the opportunity to perform. I would do shows, like there was one night I was I'm on the bill. There's other comics of my peers on the bill, but then also on the bill was Stiller and Mira, and it was their first performance together in decades, and their last performance together ever on stage. And I was on the bill with them. So they got up and they did about 10 minutes, and they ad-libbed some stuff, and they were very funny and very sweet. And so the opportunity to work with people like that in these unusual circumstances, I'm not going to get that anywhere else. So that's what the Friars Club was to me. I'll give you another Friars Club thing. I'm at the Friars Club. There's some event. I can't remember what it was. Big celebrity studded event. And Jeffrey Ross, comedian Jeffrey Ross.
He's on Broadway right now. He's take everything up for the ride. Yeah.
And he's on. He walks in with Robert De Niro. De Niro's big comedy nut, so he's got Robert. And we were warned. People were told in advance, don't pester. De Niro's going to be here. Don't pester him. Leave him alone. All right. So I'm in this crowded lobby of the Friars Club. Larry Storch is there, and Larry Storch is at that time was about 140 years old. And I knew Larry, and I'd worked with Larry. And so Jeffrey, I'm standing there with Larry Storch. Jeffrey walks in with Robert De Niro. Larry Storch looks and goes, he says to me, is that Robert De Niro? And me being, a wise guy, I said, yeah. I said, you want to meet him? I said, hey, Robert, Larry's, now this is the only place in the world these words were ever uttered. Robert De Niro, Larry Storch, Robert De Niro. And you know what De Niro says? He says, Larry Storch, you're my favorite. I love you. And they hugged and kissed, and it was great. So that those kind of things only would happen at the Friars. Yeah.
Was it when you performed though at the Friars at those times? Does something go through your head? You get more nervous or less if you suddenly realize you're performing in front of Freddie Roman or Henny Youngman or
I was performing with Freddie Roman, not in front of him. I was with him.
Well,
yeah.
Well, no, you didn't tag. I mean, he would have been waiting on this. I mean, you were on the bill. I assume, when you were performing.
Well, I mean, me and Freddie weren't doing a soft shoe routine together, but yeah, I did many shows with Freddie.
All right, but what about other legends like a Robert Klein or I don't know who else is.
Yes, I've worked with Robert Klein. In fact, I did a big Friars show once at the Hotel Pierre in New York. It was a big show, and it was an all-star-studded cast, and it was Tony Orlando was the MC, and Frankie Valli was on the bill, and Leni Kazan, and at any rate, Robert Klein, Gilbert Gottfried, Dick Capri, I was on the bill, and I just remember that show being a big one for me because I really wanted it to go well, and it did. And I got off and they all knew that I was, that this was something at any rate, I got off the stage, and Robert Klein, who I'm not pals with Robert Klein at all. We had met a couple of times, but he gave me a big hug. He said, "Oh my God, that was great." And Gilbert, and so it was really nice. You get those moments as well, these little graduation moments. So that was one of them. Yeah.
Mazel. That's what it was all. It's a shame that the Friars is no longer.
Time marches on. Time marches on. It does.
So what is for you, Dave Konig? What is marching on for you? What is in the next 3 to 6 months have where people can beyond September 18th?
I got to call a doctor about a biopsy, but aside from that, aside from that, I got this show September 18th, and I hit the road again and I'm back out on the circuit, on the cruise ship circuit.
Any guest shots on TV or in film or any of those things that we can look for? Things you've already taped, maybe that haven't come out yet?
Well, go to my website. You can see all my TV stuff on there, DaveKonig.com. I paid a focus group $36,000 to come up with that. Dave Konig, KONIG.com. So go there. You can see all my TV clips there.
Konig is the king of comedy. Let me remind you one more time that this Thursday, September 18th, he's live in person at the Comedy Village. It's 352 West 44th Street, which I believe puts it between 8th and 9th Avenue.
That sounds about right to me.
Sounds about right to me, too. It's 2-drink minimum, so don't be cheap. Get 2 full glasses of borscht. And laugh and applaud and don't heckle and don't think you're part of the act. He's the funny one. Let him be funny. But do applaud and do laugh. So my last question for you,
yes, sir,
Dave Konig, is, it's such a messed up world that we're in. Does comedy help? Is it a distraction? Is it useful at all, or is it just something that pulls us away? What is the purpose of comedy in a world where we just don't know what the hell's going on?
Help?
What? Yeah.
Does comedy help? Can't hurt.
That is the best and most Jewish answer I've ever heard.
There you go.
Hashem bless you, Dave Konig. Thank you once more for joining us. Much success with your show and all your future endeavors. And send me some food from those cruises, please.
All the best to you, Rabbi. Thank you so much.
Shalom.